G'day divers and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be all about visiting the Falls of Halladale wreck near Peterborough in Victoria, Australia. It's not the easiest dive site to get to, but it's definitely a recreational dive. So I'm going to tell you how to get there, where it is, the conditions you can expect, the depths, what you're going to see, and I'll even tell you about the camera and the camera settings I used to film this. Because this is a historic wreck, I highly recommend that you go to the Flagstaff Hill Museum first and read all about the wreck. You can see one of the anchors in its glory, the roof tiles, read all about the story, and that way you'll have a much better understanding of the site when you're having a look at it underwater. We launched the club boat from Boat Bay. Now it's a very steep boat ramp, so if you're taking your boat there, just make sure you're very satisfied that your tow vehicle's capable of getting back up that ramp. Apart from that, it's a free, easy ramp to use, and the trip out on a nice day is an easy trip, and it's about 5 to 5.5 kilometres to get around to the wreck. The Falls of Halladale was a 4-mast iron-hulled sailing ship built in Scotland in 1886. Her length was 83.9 metres and she was 12.7 metres wide. Now, she'd set sail from New York, and after sailing for 102 days on her way to Melbourne before moving to Sydney, with a large cargo including about 57,000 roof slates, the captain got disorientated in heavy fog and managed to sail her directly onto the rocks in Peterborough, Victoria. At 3 AM on the 14th of November 1908, the captain and his 28 crew needed to safely abandon the ship and made it ashore by rowing for several hours to the area we launched our boat from. They left the ship with her sails still set, and for weeks after, large crowds gathered to view the ship as she gradually broke up and sank in the shallow water. Like all the sites in this area, you're talking about very open to the ocean and very rough seas, so you need a very good day to dive it. The odds of you picking a day in a month's time and just turning up and it's okay is quite slim. So you need to watch the weather and plan these dives at the last minute. You're going to need a swell well under 1.5 metres, and really it's going to need a northerly wind. Any wind that isn't from the north, if it picks up at all, is going to make this impossible to dive. The wreck is literally only 200 or 300 metres off the cliffs, right beside the reef. So the waves will break over it, so make sure you've got a nice day, and if you've never been there before, just sit away from the reef and watch it for a while before you take the boat in, and be totally satisfied that the swell's low enough before you dive it. Now, if the conditions are well, like they were on this day, it's a very easy dive. Maximum depth is about 10 to 12 metres. We only got 10 metres. If you're going to stay on the wreck, there is reef to go and explore, and you probably get down to maybe 14, 15 if you head away. But the wreck is quite large for a historic wreck. It's probably covers about 100 metres. You've still got a couple of anchors there. You've got ribs and hulls to explore. A lot of the slate is still on the bottom, even though a lot of it was recovered. I think about half of it they recovered to use on the Flagstaff village. Legally recovered it, and you can still see bollards. We found a couple of tiny little sea hares on the anchor. I don't think I've ever seen a sea hare that small. I'm no doubt, given it that small, I've swum over them 1,000 times, but they're normally quite a lot bigger. So it's a great dive. It's quite large. It's beside some nice reef, but you do need good conditions. But once you have the good conditions, it's an easy dive even for an open water diver. For those of you who are interested in the camera and the camera settings, all the shots above water were just taken with my mobile phone, which is a Google Pixel 9 Pro. All the shots underwater were taken with a GoPro Hero 11. I had 2 cheap eBay lights on it, and I did use an AOI wide-angled lens, although that didn't really offer me much on this dive. I'd use it anyway, but I wouldn't be worried about it if you didn't have it. The only shot that really allowed me to get that I couldn't have got was it let me get closer to those sea hares. So even though it's a wide-angled lens, it also focuses closer than the GoPro, so I could get a little bit closer. I didn't realize there was going to be any macro on it, so I hadn't taken a macro lens. But obviously, if I'd known, I would have taken a macro mate so I could have got a better shot of the sea hares. As far as any post-production, that is all auto white balance. I have not changed any white balance in post-production, and the only thing I did was I filmed in 60 frames per second, and I have slowed that down by 50%, which I do with pretty much all my underwater footage because it makes it look a lot smoother. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching all the way to the end. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. That's the thing that gives me the encouragement to keep making these videos. I just do it for fun. If you've got any questions, please make a comment. I try and answer all of them. And until next time, keep blowing bubbles, and don't forget, the deeper you go, the further away you get from all those idiots.